But, and of course, they all come for the bird bath, which I love. I just love seeing the wildlife at the bird bath. The bees go there, they drink. You know, like I said, even the rats, I'd see a rat up there drinking, you know, when we had the rat problem. So, but over here on the patio, I got all my geraniums out, and these I overwintered in my greenhouse, my wildflower casita. And that's why they're all pretty and big and stuff, because they've had a nice warm winter, and now they're on their little summer vacation out here and providing all the color and beautiful photos that I share on my pages. And yeah, another cloche there because the quail were after that delphinium. I got some new plants here. I bought this hydrangea, treated myself. This one's supposed to bloom all year long, so we'll see how it does. I know hydrangeas, they need a lot of water here in New Mexico because we're very dry. And then I bought this, what is this called? It's a dogwood, neon burst dogwood, because it was like this. I love the color of it, but oh my goodness, this plant is a weenie. It will not make it here, I don't think. The reason why I bought it was because it's supposed to have this beautiful chartreuse green, and then in the fall, it's supposed to turn reds and purples and oranges, so it'll give you that fall color, and then the branches are kind of reddish. So winter, you get, you know, the red color. So it's like an all-season shrub that gives you beautiful color. But the winds we've been having in the afternoons, and I have it in front of this pillar, which that's the south winds come, but it is like beating the crap out of this plant. It's like not doing well. And so I'm like, well, you may not be doing well here in New Mexico because it's hot and dry, and our winds. So, and that's the thing with plants. I have to just learn what works and what doesn't. And so I went out on a limb. I'm like, well, let me try this dogwood and see how it does. And so far, I'm not impressed. Can't even handle, you know, winds and stuff here. So we'll have to see. It's definitely going to need shelter. You know, it's supposed to actually, the basket's supposed to go right there. You can see the circle. In fact, there's the little water catcher thing. I got to put it back. But since I planted it 2 weeks ago, I'm like, oh my goodness, it's not liking our climate here. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to have to, what's that big bumblebee? We'll have to see where I can put it where it's not going to get beaten up. Hi, big guy. I like seeing our pollinators. Yeah, they're nice. Had butterflies, swallowtails. I haven't started my veggies yet. You can see my compost in there, our kitchen waste, eggshells, avocado, banana peels, and stuff. So I'm probably gonna plant that up next week, start gardening. I've just been kind of, you know, battling all these other things that usually by now I have zucchini and cucumbers started, but I'm just kind of like, oh my God, I'm over gardening season already with all the trouble I've had this spring. So I got to kind of get my butt in gear and get it done, get it planted, get my veggies going. But I've got the trumpet vine opening up. And down there I had lemon balm. It's coming back. The quail were after that, so I had to cover that with netting and cloche it, because I think rats or mice might have been eating it as well. So the netting is for the mice and rats, and then the cloche is for the quail. And then over here, I call this my south garden. I basically have shrubs in here, boxwood, crepe myrtles, lilac there at the end, a Texas salvia. This, I spread some morning glory seeds and hopefully those will be coming up soon and growing up through. And again, I had to use chicken wire because last year they were eating all my morning glories, the quail. So, and the quail like to bed down in this bed here. I'll come out every evening, and during the day when it's hot, there's like little pockets everywhere where they move the mulch, and then they nestle in and they fluff their little feathers and they lay here, and they'll get under, you know, the shrubs and stuff, and they keep nice and cool in the shade when it's hot, which I don't mind that they do that. Just, you know, don't eat my plants. In fact, there's a pocket there. You can see there's kind of a little pocket, little divot. And I'll come in through after they're gone, and I just kick the mulch back in place and you know, put everything back. So, but my garden beds, I have soaker hose in here. I also did a video on that back in, I think, April. I had to replace the soaker hose in this bed because it was so full of hard water. I was transplanting a plant and hit it with a shovel, and I tried to fix it, and then it wouldn't bend right. It just snapped like a twig, and I'm like, oh, now it's short. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to pull it out and get rid of that old hose and put the new in. So I did that. And I turned that on right now, where it's in the 80s. I've been putting it on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for about 30, 40 minutes. And everything's looking good and happy. So once it gets hotter, I'll probably add more days in. But for now, you know, having mulch over the soaker hose, it keeps the moisture in, and it really helps the garden bed. So we'll go over here. I just love that Russian sage, that purple. It's so pretty. The only thing is that it grows up through my wind spinner. So my wind spinner doesn't spin. But that's okay. I just let it. I just let it do its thing. And I had some really good pictures. The bees love this plant. I had really good pictures of this last year where this was all in bloom. And then my, oh my goodness, hibiscus was in bloom. This is a hibiscus. It's going to be budding out soon. That was all in bloom together. And I have canvas prints of those. If you click the link in my bio, it'll take you to my photography that I took last year. But look at the little bees. Everybody's busy. I like that. I like seeing the bees. I like providing for our pollinators. And then here, I had those corn boxes. Hi, lizard. There's a little lizard. And the lizard right there. What are you doing, buddy? Huh? What's going on? Those corn boxes, I used to grow corn in those. I had those here up against this fence. And then last fall, I moved them. And I decided to plant this rosemary. This rosemary was in the pot that bougainvillea I showed you was in, and it was getting too big, so I planted that there. And then this Moonglow juniper was in a pot on my patio that my holly's in now, and I transplanted that over here. And then these old pots were what my holly was in. So I've been doing like musical chairs with my pots and moving things around into different things. But instead of throwing these old pots away, because I like old rustic looking things that look dilapidated and falling apart, or rusty old things in my garden, I just think it adds character. I said, you know, I'm just going to bring them down here and I will just fill them up with annuals. So I have vincas in there that I planted this past weekend on Saturday. And they will get so big, they will end up overfilling the rim of that. And you probably won't even see the rim by the time late summer comes. And then calendula, I started this in my greenhouse because I was having an aphid issue. And calendula is one of those plants that they will attract the bad bugs, the aphids, like a decoy plant. So I grew those and transplanted them into this pot here. And it's funny, they were covered with aphids. And since they've been out, I don't know where the aphids went, if a predatory insect came and got them or what, but the aphids are gone. So that's kind of funny. But they were doing their job. I had them planted near my lettuce in my greenhouse. So I don't have my keys to open my greenhouse to show you. It's all emptied out now. And I put shade cloth in on the inside of it this year. Last year I had the shade cloth on the outside. And I didn't like the way it looked, because my greenhouse is cute and you had this black cloth kind of draped over it. It didn't look really nice. So I'm like, I said to my husband, I'm just going to put it on the inside this year. And so far that's working. Hasn't been too bad. I only have some lettuce left in there. Everything else is cleaned out. So, but the corn boxes, I moved some gladiolas into them for now, and I'd like to grow cosmos and zinnias in here this summer and let those come up. So right now it doesn't look too pretty, but as the summer goes on, and I got to keep reminding myself it's only May. It's been so hot here that I'm just I feel like it's late June and we're getting into July, but it is only May, and I feel like I'm behind on things, but I'm not. I got to keep reminding myself. So got plenty of time, plenty of summer left. My growing season goes well into November. So it's just the beginning. But anyway, here's my heart wreath I was talking about earlier, and how the wind just ripped it to shreds this year. So I will take that wisteria vine and I will, as it gets longer, and I will repair this and get it back into shape and get it mended. But that's old wisteria vine that each year I just take and I weave it into the shape. And I created that in 2020 during COVID as just a gesture and, of everything that our world was going through at the time. And made it, instead of throwing those vines away, I'm like, I want to make a little, a big heart, actually, not a little heart, and just hang it on there. And so each year I add to it. So I got to fix it. The wind really messed it up this year. Like I said, it's been pretty hard spring this year with the weather and the critters and stuff. So, and down here last year we had all those cowpen daisies. Zinnias, because I chip all our garden waste. I put all the garden waste in here. This is where the uglies are, back here. Keep all our scrap wood, our compost tumbler, and here's where I put all the clippings of everything, and then we shred those. I have a chipper, which is over there under that blue tarp by the shed, and chip all that stuff. And so I didn't set up my camera that day, but a couple weeks ago I chipped all the pile. It was huge. It took me a good part of the day to do it. And so I have all this clippings and stuff, chippings, if you will. And once we get some rain, whatever seeds are in it, they will come up, whether it's cosmos, zinnias, We had lots of sunflowers. We had lots of cowpen daisies out here last summer. And they all grew because we had a lot of good rain last year. I don't know what we're going to have this year. That's the thing with New Mexico. You just can never tell. I think it's going to be hot and dry this year. And we're not going to get much, which, is fine by me. Because like I said, the cowpen daisies, the seeds are what brought in the vermin into my yard. Like I said, we caught almost 40 rats since April this spring. So, and I know I have more rats because they dig holes like that. And so I have to keep backfilling and to keep them out. So I will keep setting the trap and catching and releasing to other areas and letting them go somewhere else and get them out of my yard. But I did put chicken wire along the base of my fence line and sandbags. That was to keep the rabbits out, and that has helped immensely. So now it's just trying to get all the vermin and getting them out of the yard. So it always seems like there's a battle, but, and that's the thing with gardening, you have to deal with battles and whether it's weather or insects or, animals that want to eat your stuff. I think about that old little story of Peter Rabbit, Beatrix Potter, and she had, I think it was Mr. McGregor. I remember reading that as a kid and thinking, boy, that Mr. McGregor's mean, with his hoe in the air, and he's yelling at Peter to get out of his yard, Peter Rabbit. But now that I'm a gardener, I get it. It's like, I get it. It's like you work so hard just to keep your garden and keep it nice. And, within days or hours sometimes, you can just have a rodent come in and just wipe your stuff out. And especially this time of year where everything is just so young and, the foliage is so tender and it's just trying to get its start and having it nipped down all the time. It can be frustrating. So anyway, hopefully as we go on, it'll get better. And I just want to take one more look at these hollyhocks over here. Get a close up. How pretty those are. And that's a seed that just fell in that pot, and I've just kind of let it go because there's some old roses in there. Dr. Huey roses, I think is what it's called. It used to be a purple rose that was grafted. The graft died, and so the rootstock, Dr. Huey's, what usually they graft to, come up, and they're just a little rose like that, and they only bloom once in the spring, and they're done. But I always like it because I like the way it looks, and then the hollyhock dropped in there a year or two ago, and so that comes up every year. And we have a quail on the fence. A male quail. Yeah, he saw me. He's like, okay, I'll hop down. They're ready to come over and start digging in my garden and nesting and all that stuff that they do during the day. And they like to drink out of the bird bath, which I don't mind them drinking out of the bird bath. That's why I put it out there. Like I said, I just don't want them eating my plants. So, and this is a mosaic I created several years back. And it's all covered up, but it's supposed to be the Sandia Mountains, the mountain range here with all the color, and then a cloud bank, and then the sunrise coming up. So when I post this video, I'll post a picture of what it looked like when I first put these posts in with it, and you can all see before the honeysuckle took over. which that was just all in bloom like a week or two ago, and it just smelled so good out here. So anyways, I hope you all have a wonderful Memorial Day, and just take a moment to say a little prayer and in remembrance of our fallen heroes that have served and sacrificed our country. And that's, what Memorial Day is about. My husband is a 22-year veteran, and, we're very patriotic that way. And he retired from the Air Force, serving his country, and I was a military spouse and stuff. So it's a special day, to honor those. So feel free to stop by my website, wildflowerartbycarrie.com. Link is in the bio. And I sell all my artwork, canvas prints, t-shirts, coffee mugs. Canvas bags, puzzles, candle holders, all kinds of things that I make from my garden. And the blooms in my garden and my photography. And I appreciate your patronage. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. So I will be back as the season goes on and doing more lives. So you all take care, and bye for now.